Hello there. This is Quentin Kreth with JC Candidates, and today I'm talking to Alaire Fajardo, who is a candidate in the special election for position 1 on the Junction City School Board. And Alaire, I'd like to just start today by saying, what is it you would like to accomplish as a board member in Junction City?
Yeah. Hey, thank you for inviting me to do this with you. It's been awesome that you've been doing this with all the candidates, especially because there's no voters pamphlet out there. So this is very important. Honestly, I am, I was adopted into Junction City at the age of 10 and went through the school system here. And now I have 5 amazing kids in the school district and one who's actually already graduated. And so I just personally think if it's within your bandwidth to be a part of something as important as a school board or volunteer in some way and serve your community, that you should do that if the opportunity arises. And so for me, being a part of the school board, I honestly didn't realize the impact the school board has until I started really researching what the roles and responsibilities are of a school board. And it's really an important job here in our district. And so I just want to be a part of that opportunity to serve our kids, to serve our teachers, to serve our community, and hopefully in that be able to, help make good policy and help ensure that the checks and balances are there. And so that's really my motivation and drive, and having so many kids in the school district definitely has helped that. So,
Well, thank you. And how will your personal and professional background help you achieve these goals?
yeah, the really cool thing is I actually have a pretty diverse background as far as I, was a non-traditional student in school, and so I understand from that perspective. I was raised up until the age of 10 in the foster care system, and so I think that even in that and being able to have a lens of being a foster child at one point is really important to bring to the school district. I started my career at Wells Fargo as a teller. I really worked hard and was able to work my way up I was a mortgage loan officer, I was a personal banker, and then finally ended as a manager at Wells Fargo. And then from there, I went on to the University of Oregon and got my bachelor's degree in psychology and decided to do some social service work, and was able to work with families who were at risk of losing their children to the foster care system. But really, it was a preventative measure to be able to help them, if it was a safe environment, to be able to keep families together. And so I have that lens that I'm looking at, I'm looking from. And then I've also worked with departmental disability services, where I've helped to just really help, well, specifically one young lady to be able to adult even despite her disabilities. And so I have that lens that I'm looking at through. So I just think I've had a pretty broad range of life experiences and educational experience and work education that would really help me to bring that diverse perspective to the school board.
Okay. And expanding on that, because you've touched on a lot of different things, what do you think the role of a school board member is, and how you would function in that role?
Yeah, the school board has a pretty big role. The school board helps create policy and ensure that the policy is being upheld. And I think even within the policies, there's a lot to be looked at as far as what is in the best interest of all students. What are we doing to help support the teachers? What are we doing to help support the superintendent? School board, recently I've been able to be on the superintendent hiring committee. And so in that, we were able to review multiple candidates for our new superintendent position. And so, school board help hires that. So we are able to review that, and the school board makes that final decision, and that implements those policies and procedures and make sure that the school district runs well as, also. I was able to be on the budget committee, and the school board approves the budget. And so the school board has a really big role and job in the district in making sure that our kids are well represented, making sure our teachers, like I said, are well represented. And so I think with my background and education and just the things that I've been through in my life will help me bring just a really broad perspective to that.
Okay, thank you. And you've talked a bit about your experience and your perspective here. Are there any sort of new programs or changes or things you would like to do differently in the district as a school board member and that you would push for?
That's a great question. Honestly, I think at this point, being that I've never served on a school board, it would be really important for me to get my feet in the door and really learn from what we are doing and what we have done. As far as programs go, I have to say that I've been actually really pleased with some of the programs that our school board or our school system offers. I know that our oldest daughter, she went and graduated through Junction City High School, and she was able to take advantage of the nursing program that the high school offers, and taking classes in reference to nursing. And so that really set her up for being able to go on to LCC and go into the nursing program. And now she's a registered nurse. I know that my other daughter is of the business classes, and she plans on being able to move forward in that. And so I think our school district is actually doing a pretty good job in offering a wide variety of programs for our students. And I definitely think there's room for improvement. There's always room for growth. And I would love to get my foot in there and be able to see maybe where we might be lacking in some areas. But as far as my children go specifically, they've been able to take advantage of some of the programs, and it's been really good for them.
Okay. Well, one thing you mentioned is growth, and a big issue in the school system right now is preparing for the influx of students that will accompany new developments in the Junction City area. And what is your vision for the district and its response to a growing population?
Yeah, there are some apartments that got built pretty quickly here in Junction City, and definitely more housing. I know this is something that the district is looking at extensively. And I know that part of the budget committee and being a part of the superintendent hiring committee, those have been at the forefront of the conversation. And so one of the things that I am privy to is there has been some property that has been purchased with the intention of hopefully building a new middle school. And so with that, there's going to be a bond measure that we're going to need to look into and start preparing and hopefully present to the community within the next couple of years. I know that's something that Kathleen, our current superintendent, is going to be talking to Troy, our new superintendent, about what that will look like and how that will be structured. And I'm sure the board will have some information and say on that as well. And so I also know that there's some modular classrooms that they're looking into so they can bring the fifth graders back over to the middle school. This is something I look forward to working with the board on if I am elected and be able to have a voice in that. But it is at the forefront of the board and our school district already. And so it would just be partnering with them in that to make sure that we do what's best for our community and our students.
Great. And you've spoken a few times about the selection of the new superintendent and your role on the search committee there. Um, and if you don't mind, could you please give us just a quick rundown of why you believe that he was a strong candidate and will be a good superintendent for the district, and what your logic was behind picking Troy?
Well, it was the board who picked Troy. It wasn't me who picked Troy, but I did have a part in I got to watch the interviews. But honestly, Troy has extensive background as a superintendent. I think it's Mount Angel. Um, and I was able to meet him once in person, and his demeanor is, he has a strong personality, but he's very loving and caring. And as somebody who is willing to, uh, he's approachable, I think is the best way to describe him. He seems very easily approachable, which I appreciate in a leader, specifically a leader who's going to be leading, you know, our staff who are leading our children. And he also has an excellent equity lens, which I think is important for our district. We do have about 25% BIPOC in this community, and although that may not seem significant, it's enough that we really aim at that as well. And so I think he has an excellent equity lens. He has been a superintendent and being able to run a district of our size. And he comes from a smaller community, which I think is important to be able to understand our community. So he was definitely a great choice. The last three candidates were all amazing choices in my opinion, but I definitely think the school board did a great job in selecting him.
Great. And you spoke briefly on diversity, equity, and inclusion issues. Clearly, those are a major topic here in Junction City and around in the state. As a board member, what are you looking to accomplish in terms or change in terms of diversity, equity, and inclusion in Junction City schools?
That's a great question. And, as a woman of color from the Latinx community, it is near and dear to my heart. I think that our district is doing, we had a board meeting over the summer that really brought a lot of light and attention to some of the issues that we have faced here in Junction City. And so the school board has been doing, and the school district has been doing a great job in addressing those situations and trying to ensure that doesn't continue, and that our students from all backgrounds, and it's not just race. When I think of equity and inclusion, I don't just think of race. I think about all students. I think about students from lower income socioeconomic backgrounds. I think about students with disabilities who are made fun of. I think about kids who are from, whose parents don't speak English, and they come here and they're having to translate for their parents. And, to me, equity and inclusion is about encompassing all students and ensuring that all students have a fair and safe learning environment. But one of the things certainly I would bring to the table is having that lens of being somebody from a BIPOC community. I think it's really easy to get hypersensitive. And what I mean by that is, I want to word this really well. I think it's very easy for people to overreach to a specific community, trying with great intentions, trying to make sure that they feel accepted and included, but then in doing so sometimes may forget about this other community that also needs, help. And I don't think, I think the intentions are great, but I think it's important, if you have somebody from one of those communities or you have a BIPOC person on there, it's almost like they give you that peace to be able to have open, honest conversation and be able to make sure that we're not overreaching here and then taking away from over here. And I think that's what I would bring. I want to bring that peace. I want to bring that open dialogue, not forgetting another community because we're working so hard on this community. I want to make sure all of our children are represented, and all of our children are being looked at equally, and they all have a safe environment, and an environment where the parents and the teachers and the staff and the board members are working together with open, honest, respectful dialogue to make sure that our kids can flourish past high school into their future. So that would be my hope as being a board member for Junction City.
Thank you. And is there anything else that you want to say about the election or your candidacy?
Yeah, I'm really, this has been a really exciting journey. I've loved every moment of it. It's definitely been challenging. I just really want to encourage people to do their research. I want to encourage people. I know there's no vote pamphlet, and so you're just getting this piece of paper with a bunch of names, and you're trying to figure out, who do I vote for? I think what you're doing is phenomenal. Do your research. I know a lot of the candidates have Facebook pages. I want to recommend going to those Facebook pages, going online and looking at the different candidates. And then the beauty about democracy is you get to choose who best aligns with the things that are important to you and your values. And so I just really want to encourage that. And I really wish everybody the best of luck. It's been getting to know, people and getting to meet people. And so I wish everybody the best of luck in this.